There is more than meets the eyes when learning a new language. It is interesting to study how second languages are acquired and how much goes into learning a new language. And in this presentation, I will cover many of the bits of knowledge I have taken from the class this far. The first thing I'd like to hit is that there are two different groups of second language learners. Those that learn two languages at the same time as a child are in the group of simultaneous multilingualism, and those in the sequential multilingualism group are people who learn them at different times. The second thing I've enjoyed learning in regards to any language learning, whether it be a first language or a second language, is that there are three theoretical perspectives that can be found when learning any language, and they are behaviorism, innatism, and the developmental perspective. Behaviorism relates to Skinner and basically states that we learn languages from our environment. This means that everything around us, including the language our parents speak, whether they speak English or sign language, influences our language and how we will learn it. The second learning theory that I enjoyed learning about is that of innatist, and it states that we are wired a certain way and that is the only way we learn languages. Chomsky is the person that goes along with this theory. The third perspective is that of developmental, and it fits along nicely with the theory of behaviorism. It says that we are born with the skills to learn a language, but need a social environment to allow those skills to develop further into a language or languages. All of these theories can be applied to second language acquisition, but they are just what they state, theories. None can be proven as right and none are perfect. Bits and pieces can be taken from each in order to create a new super theory with all of the theories within one. Now to move into second language acquisition. When learning a new language, every learner goes through the same stages of learning a new language, but there is no set way to acquire a language. Also, in regards to age, there are characteristics and learning conditions for young second language learners and adult second language learners, and they tend to differ greatly. When learning a new language, one problem seems to be very common, and it deals with not just how the language sounds, but the structure of how the language is learned, because some languages have different structures than others, such as some put adjectives before and some put adjectives after, making it harder to learn the language and the rules of the language. Another issue with acquiring a second language deals with how each individual is unique and is acquiring a language for various reasons. External factors influence second language acquisition, such as a student may need to learn it for a lifestyle, while another learns the language for fun. Both of these affect how second language learners will acquire the language. Another factor that seems to affect second language acquisition is age. When we were young, our brain was a sponge taking in everything around us, including the language we heard at home. As we aged, our minds became set in their ways, making it harder to learn a second language because we want to learn in a certain way instead of in any form that is presented to us. Other problems second language speakers commonly experience when learning a second language or foreign language are issues of vocabulary, morphology, phonology, nonverbal communication, and discourse. It is important to recognize these in order to correct them before they become a big problem in order to be successful in learning a new language. The next thing I've learned that I enjoyed reading about is spotting a second language learner and the signs that a language is not someone's first. I relate best with this section. Someone who pauses a lot or changes the volume of their speech is a sign that the language they are speaking may not be their native tongue. The next thing I've learned deals with being successful in learning a second language, and one way that can help is that those who want to learn a second language and master it need to develop and focus on their ability to write, listen, and read, and to use content they are familiar with to help aid in learning the new language if they want easier time acquiring the languages. I think another important part that I've learned from the books is that it is important to set personal goals while learning a second language. They do not have to be big goals, but goals that you will be able to see progress so that you do not lose motivation or sight of how far you've come and how much you have learned, rather than how much you have left in order to master a language. As I have read, I have also found that there are different ways to view second language acquisition, and they are from the teacher's perspective and the student's. Each view provides different insight into how a second language is acquired and which methods work and are successfully serve their purpose of providing the student with the ability of mastering a second language. As for teaching a second language, it is important that teachers realize that how they teach affects how the language is learned, and that they need to provide a positive learning environment that will benefit the students. The best way to do this is to provide positive feedback to issues rather than negative, which will discourage the second language learner. Also, with regards to teaching, the book mentions this several times, that the best way to learn a language is to use the scaffolding method, which is when you learn one thing and build on that, such as learning vocabulary. Then after you've learned that, learn the parts of the sentence and proper sentence structure. In this way, it is easier to master a language. The book also says that there are 6 things while learning a new language that will help the learners, and they are: get it right from the beginning, just listen, and read. Let's talk, get 2 for 1, teach what is teachable, and get it right in the end. These 6 proposals are key to helping second and foreign language learners. Acquiring a second language is a study that is ongoing. Ethnography is a way of observing, teaching, and learning in a second or foreign language classroom without a set of predetermined categories. This is just one way of seeing how a language is learned, and it is possible to find more, so we as teachers need to be prepared for changing methods that will benefit our students most.